Good morning, dear Dharma friends. Good morning, Sherry. That's a lovely view out your window. Well, here it is, April the 5th, 2021. Thank you for getting up, making the effort, coming to be together. I'm a little groggy this morning. I got so engaged in Outlander that I stayed up too late. My. That's a story and a half. So I am the person who goes by the name of Robert Beatty. I'm the third one of them. My grandfather was Robert Beatty. My father was Robert Earl Beatty, and I am Robert John Beatty. My son is Robert Luke Beatty. We carried on the tradition. How funny is that? So this is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. We've been doing this quite a lot of times now. The beginning of COVID last year, Jen and I were thinking it might be 100 or 300 times. It's a lot. You can find PIMC, the Portland Insight Meditation Community, at portlandinsight.org. You can also find Robert Beatty at robertbeatty.com. If you've never looked at the robertbeatty.com website, I strongly encourage you to do. If nothing else, there's a gorgeous audio-visual piece called The Great Way, which is down near the bottom of the front page. And for those of you on Facebook and YouTube, if you'd like to come and join us for the sharing, which happens after the meditation, you can get the link there at robertbeatty.com. So, I came across a beautiful little piece this morning, just looking through my poetry. It's by Meister Eckhart, mystic. It's called, record here. Record the computer. It's called The Hope of Loving. What keeps us alive? What allows us to endure? I think it is the hope of loving or being loved. I heard a fable once about the sun going on a journey to find its source, and how the moon wept without her lover's warm gaze. We weep when light does not reach our hearts. We wither like fields if someone close does not rain their kindness upon us. From Meister Eckhart. The hope of loving. What keeps us alive? What allows us to endure? I think it is the hope of loving or being loved. I heard a fable once about the sun going on a journey to find its source, and how the moon wept without her lover's warm gaze. We weep when light does not reach our hearts. We wither like fields if someone close does not rain their kindness upon us. So we come together to rain kindness on ourselves and on each other. And let's remind ourselves of the precepts, not the precepts, of the refuges. The refuges and precepts are kind of they go together. Another day, the sun coming up. I got a layer of compost to put on the most of the garden yesterday. I did something I learned. It's called chop and drop with the crimson clover that I planted last fall. Just cut it and lay it down. It's awfully early for things to be as warm as they are. So what can I take refuge in? I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Refuge in being awake to things as they are, the Dharma. And I do this in the company of my friends on the path. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. And we do now what human beings have done for thousands of years. It's not long in terms of human history. Right? One of my favorite factoids is that for 99.96% of our time as humans, we lived in small hunting and gathering bands. For 0.04%, we have lived in what we call civilization and farming since Mesopotamia. It's nothing, it's short. Halfway through that time since Mesopotamia came the Buddha, came Lao Tzu, came Zoroaster, came Mahavir. 600 years later or so came Jesus. So our ancient tradition is in another way very new. But here we sit, we find ourselves comfortably upright. Awakening to the mysterious aliveness of the body. This body, somebody. Each breath has a beginning, and we can be present for it. Attending to the breath is like attending to sunrise or to the seasons. Or to the migration of birds. Each breath very naturally begins all by itself. It comes to fullness, and then it declines, and then it disappears. Just as the breath comes and goes, so do thoughts. There may be a mood present. There probably is a mood present. Is the overarching or undergirding mood pleasant or unpleasant? Is there a lightness of heart this morning, or is there a heaviness? Does the world appear to be full of promise, or is it somehow burdened? Knowing mood for what it is, a set of filters that affect all experience. Maybe consciousness is bright and wide awake and somehow receiving with joy, or at least with enthusiasm, whatever arises. Or perhaps it's contracted and would rather still be asleep. Or maybe is recoiling from something that has to be done today. Time and again we are participating in awakening, in the awareness that takes these as objects. We are setting ourselves free. One breath at a time. Mindfulness has a quality of remembering. It remembers the intention to awaken to the inner processes that are occurring. It remembers the intention to be present with the actual sensations of in-breathing and out-breathing. It remembers to be present in the wandering mind. Even if the mind wanders for 5 minutes, there's still that remarkable moment when light comes back, when mindfulness is active. Mindfulness illuminates memories, stories, these ways that the mind creates the past. It reifies the past. It makes it seem real. Makes it seem important. Mindfulness illuminates the way the mind creates fantasies of a future. In fact, creates the future. And so we inhabit now, time and again, awakening right here in this breath. Right here in this thought. Right here in this body sensation. we abide in mindfulness. And we support mindfulness with concentration, with curiosity, with a certain kind of persistent effort. It's a merciful effort, an effort that's all about starting again in this moment. We support mindfulness and it develops equanimity. Whatever arises, arises. It's known. And a kind of tranquility emerges, which is content in the present moment. It's totally non-grasping. Just abiding here in this breath, in whatever thoughts arise. We are planting karmic seeds of being alive and present. We're loading the dice of our destiny toward becoming more loving and compassionate. We are inhabiting the present moment. And it's here that all of life happens. The past is a class of thoughts. The future is another class of thoughts. And in our acts of creation, why not focus on love? I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am in this moment, right now. And that means including our imperfection, including our addictions and compulsions and fears and uncertainties and nastinesses and to rest in this present moment. I aspire to love and accept myself exactly like this, now. And life is difficult. Constant change, seeking stability. People around us are changing all the time as well. When I'm hurting in any way, in fear, in loneliness, in anxiety or depression, when I'm suffering the pain of greed or hatred, I intend to hold myself in sweet, loving, generous compassion. Like this, right now. And mindfulness remembers to be here. To be in this intentional way open-hearted. Yes, we can be loving and kind toward others, but it starts right here. Breathing in and breathing out. And as we come to the end of this time of practice together, let us use this present moment to form an intention. I intend to be kind with myself today. Is there some particular activity coming today that you can specifically intend to be mindful for? Perhaps you're going shopping. Imagine walking through the aisles of your favorite grocery store and being aware of reaching and grabbing and bringing something to your cart. Maybe carry with you a loving kindness mantra for each person you pass in the store, or the person working the checkout, or one of the counters. Look deeply into the masked eyes of the people you meet. See what you see. We can tell a lot in a very simple glance. Or maybe you're going for a walk with your dog today. Taking delight in the beautiful sunshine, if you have that where you are. Or the rain. Taking delight in providing your beautiful, beloved pet what they need and want. That repetitive, somewhat tedious task, feeding the dog, feeding the cat. Why not do it with love? Do it with intention. Manna from heaven for your creatures. All we have is now. When mindfulness gets natural, when it starts being persistent, we notice thoughts of the past as thoughts. We notice imaginations and fantasies of the future as futuring. There's a very useful book called The End of Your World by Adyashanti, in which he speaks about waking up to all the ways that we go into trances of past and future and emotions and so on, reactivities. And the more the present becomes real, the more the past and future are seen as the dreams, the fantasies that they are. Not that they're not real in their own limited way, but not that we don't have to plan for the future. There are in the chat several links. One of them is the link to support this broadcast and the Portland Insight Meditation community in a financial sort of way, a material sort of way. Convert your work, your trust fund, your efforts from bank accounts into Dharma. And have the joy of doing this. There's a lovely saying from Marshall Rosenberg about when to accede to my request. And there's a beautiful, complicated version, and then the simple one is, please accede to my request only if you can do it with the joy of a small child feeding a hungry duck. This practice. There's several other links there. What were they? I've lost track. I did it. Seems like I did it years ago. Oh, there's a podcast that Rob Orman did that's actually on my website now too. He and this fellow who does education online for mostly ER physicians, but it's more broadly interesting than that. Anyway, he did a great interview. And then the invitation to come to Hollyhock. Who knows? I think this thing might fly. September 17 through 22, which is Hollyhock's in Canada. So Canada would have to get their act together around COVID, and they're not doing very well. The building project is coming very soon, within days, I hope. And we did a fundraising video back 2.5-3 years ago, and it's really worth watching. It shows what's coming with the wheelchair ramp and the why of it. So that's those links. I think that's plenty of words from our sponsor. And now we have the boring, repetitive interruption to plead for support. This is where we change the channel. Or not. Maybe we just stick around and value what's happening. So I invite you to share what's happening for you. And I'm going to, as is my custom right now, I'm going to say to the Facebook and YouTube people, this is where I'm signing off, because you won't be able to hear what anybody says. I am calling tech support this morning, so perhaps tomorrow it will be working. So please have a lovely, mindful day.